Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing, and today we've got a combo that a lot of you guys have been requesting for us to try out. I finally was able to pick up one of these chokes so that way we can put it to the test, because it should in theory be a very nice performer for us, especially with today's shells as well that have already shown us some very nice promise. But for the shells we've got out here today, I brought out some of these, the Federal copper plated buckshot loads. However, these are the 12 gauge 3.5 inch 18 pellet double aught buck loads, moving about 1100 feet per second. So we've got a very stout loading here with a 3.5 inch shell. However, these copper plateds pretty much across the lineup, whether it be 2 3/4, 3 or 3.5 inch, generally always do very well. And the last time we tried these particular 3.5 inch versions through just a stock full choke, they did great. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they can give us today for a pattern. As for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out my Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. It's got a 28 inch barrel on it, but for the choke, we've got something new. That being a Kicks Buck Kicker full choke. I was finally able to get one of these for the 835. A lot of you guys have wanted to see a buck kicker, especially since that 835 is overboard to 10 gauge bore specs, and the buck kicker chokes have been very nice performers so far in my regular 870s and stuff like that. I did take this out and measure the actual constriction of my particular choke here, and it comes out at 739, so kind of sits right in between my modified and full choke constrictions for this shotgun. So we'll see what this combo can actually do, because I've got some decently high hopes for it. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the big sheet of paper at 40 yards, the chronograph so we can get our velocity, and the templates that we can lay up over our results. So let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll throw the buck kicker in the 835, and let's see what we get from these copper plated 18 pellet double aught loads through this combo today. I've got some high hopes, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Okay, so that shell gave us 1145 through the chrono. Boss claim is 1100, so we are just a little bit over that, but still we're perfectly fine for a velocity, nothing out of the normal here. And those are definitely some pretty stout shells in the recoil department. The porting in that Kicks choke doesn't really do much for them. But let's head down to our 40 yard paper and see how they actually pattern through that buck kicker. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40 yard paper, and I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing here. For a reference, the white dot was the point of aim, the paper's 36 inches wide, and we had all 18 pellets on the paper in a pretty nice circular pattern. There's no flyers at all anywhere else on the paper, so everything is right there in the center, and we've got a nice looking pattern here. The only knock to it that I can see is a little bit of a void right at the top area of that white dot. Right above that dot, you can see there's a little bit of a lack of pellets there. I wouldn't mind having one or two to fill that void in, but the size of the pattern is probably gonna about make up for it. I did measure the farthest 2 points across, and they are 17.25 inches, and pretty much no matter what pellet you measure to around the edge, it's right at 17 inches plus or minus a quarter inch or so. So it's almost a perfectly circular pattern right at 17 inches across. So that is a very nice, very solid buckshot pattern. 18 pellets worth of double aught at mid 1100s, all kept within a 17 inch spread out to 40 yards. That's going to get the job done very nicely. I just wish we had 1 or 2 pellets in that little void area just to make it about as perfectly even as you could ask for. Other than that, looks pretty nice to me, but we'll throw a few templates up and that'll give a little better reference than just this blank sheet of paper. So first up here, we have a 10 inch circle, and at 40 yards, we had 4 pellets within there. So out of an 18 pellet load, that's nothing super amazing, to be honest with you. Good enough to do the job, but you can clearly see the top half of that circle, right where that void is that I was just mentioning. So we did keep all the rest of the pellets pretty well right behind the template, so the overall size of the pattern is there, but really not anything too amazing or groundbreaking for our core area. But let's throw some actual animal templates up to see how would look on a hunting scenario. So next up, here's our deer template, and when we line it up with our point of aim, we absolutely covered that deer in pellets. You hit him with pretty much all the pellets in the shell, so I think it's pretty safe to say you would have a dead deer on your hands. That's a lot of pellets to be hitting that guy out at 40 yards, that's for sure. Obviously, we do still have that little bit of a void area right in the top of the lungs, but you hit pretty much everything else on him, so I don't think he's making it very far, if anywhere at all. So very nice, very capable for a deer deer hunt. We'll swap over and throw the hog template up just because I have it out here, but I think it's going to be pretty well the same story. And yes, it's definitely pretty well the exact same story. Absolutely capable for a hog hunt out to 40 yards all day long. They're not going to make it through that kind of a pattern. So overall, I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. That butt kicker did a very nice job handling a 3.5 inch 18 pellet loaded double lot. That's a very capable combination all day long. I definitely think it evened our pattern up around the edges a little bit. It might have tightened it down just a hair. So we definitely saw improvement over what we got with just the factory stock flush chokes. So nice results, that's for sure. The only tiny little mark is that one little void area right above that white dot. But with a 17-inch spread, you can absolutely work with that. And if we were to take another shot, I guarantee you that void area would not be there like that. So a little bit of luck of the draw. Either way, that's a perfectly capable and usable combination all day long. Not really a ton to complain about or argue about. So for you 3.5 inch shell guys, this is a very viable combination based on what I'm seeing here. And here's the wad from that shell. Very standard federal copper plated stuff. Nothing fancy, nothing stuck down in there, no major damage or anything. Looks very much how I would expect it to, so nothing to be concerned with here. Alright y'all, well, what do you think about that performance right there? Definitely what I'd call a pretty nice pattern. I always say anything under the 20-inch mark out at 40 yards is a pretty solid performance, and we're getting a pretty much perfectly circular 17-inch spread right there, so you really can't argue with that. It's beautifully even, except that one little spot right up there above that white dot, but still, when you've got that kind of pattern to work with, 18 pellets of double aught and a 17-inch spread, the pattern size alone is going to make up for it, that's for sure. As you saw with the deer and the hog templates, out to 40 yards, it's more than capable of getting the job done, no doubt about it. So if you're somebody that likes using 3.5 inch shells, likes dealing with the extra recoil and stuff like that for the handful of extra pellets, then that combo would be a perfectly usable setup for you. Do I think you need a 3.5 inch shell? Probably not, but I know there's a bunch of you guys out there that love them, so I would say that's a solid performance overall. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 3.5 inch copper plated shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combo you would actually use to hunt with or anything? Or would you rather not deal with the 3.5 inch price and recoil that comes along with them? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see us run with either those 3.5 inch copper plated double aught loads or that Kicks butt kicker from the 835? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.